What do we have in common with France? Literally nothing. You look at our history with France, France has been one of the major countries that was opposed to a united Nigeria. France opposed the formation, the creation of ECOWAS. France opposed the creation and sabotaged the creation of a single ECOWAS currency, the ECO. And France literally sabotaged ECOWAS by this young military hunters leaving ECOWAS. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. ECOWAS is now just a shell. Wherever France is not good. Mr. President, you are not talking to Nigerians. You remember after the coup in Niger?
Plenty matter dey grand. No say Tinubu dey France. He go sign MOU with France. See, take your time, listen to this video very well. It be like say France won't open military base for Niger. See this man, Professor Usman. You know, these northern people, they have access to information. They know, some of them, they know what is going on in the country. Do you understand? So, watch as this man exposed Tinubu's France plan for Nigeria. Do you understand? You know, any rumors, there is atom of truth in that rumors. So, take your time, listen to this video. We know there is problem. And Tinubu don't send anybody. He can decide to do anything without anybody consent approval. He doesn't need any to pass bill to National Assembly for approval or anything. Akpabio can do that without delay. So, there is problem. The plan of Tinubu in France with Macron. Take your time, watch this video. And please do me a favor. And all this one, it's 2027, have the answers to all these problems going on in the country. 2027 will tell if Tinubu's plan will truly work in Nigeria, or Tinubu is bigger than Nigerians. 2027 will tell. Please watch and share. And please subscribe to this YouTube channel, please.
Nigeria signed an MOU with France in the mining space. Do you believe that this is going to have positive outcomes for the country?
No. To be honest, I'm terribly nervous, and every Nigerian should be. Okay, let's look at our relationship with France, past, present, and the future. So when France has been in all these Francophone African countries, West Africa, for 66 years, and they've been kicked out. They've been kicked out of recently Chad, Senegal, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, five of your neighbors kicked a colonial master, and all of a sudden you are hugging that person. There is something you guys know that we don't know. But let's look at the history of France in Africa or anywhere else in the world. It's not been good. Look at all these countries. You need to ask yourself, why was France kicked out of those places? You are literally sucking their resources. And there is no development in any of these countries. Any. You go to Chad, you go to Mali, you go to Burkina Faso, you go to Niger, there is nothing to see, but they've been sucking their uranium and gold. All of a sudden, President Bola Tinubu is in this love fest with Macron and France. We're asking ourselves why. What do we have in common with France? Literally nothing. You look at our history with France, France has been one of the major countries that was opposed to a united Nigeria. France opposed the formation, the creation of ECOWAS. France opposed the creation and sabotaged the creation of a single ECOWAS currency, the ECO. And France literally sabotaged ECOWAS by this young military hunters leaving ECOWAS. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. ECOWAS is now just a shell. Wherever France is not good. Mr. President, you are not talking to Nigerians. You remember after the coup in Niger? Nigeria, the president had just started, he had not even assembled his team. So he said, we're going to attack France, we're going to attack Niger, and I'm sure prodded by France. We in the north resisted vehemently. We are not going to allow Nigeria to invade Niger because the fight was going to be a proxy war. America, the United States of America, had one of the biggest drone bases in Agadas in Niger. This thing was, they're going to fight Islamists and all that. No. Insecurity has been much worse where you have foreign bases by these foreign countries. The reason France is cozying to Nigeria and President Bola Tinubu is allowing them to, and we will resist, is because they are looking for a place to situate their military base. after being kicked out. We in the north, which is a place they are looking to locate these bases, we in the north will vigorously resist any foreign military boots on our soil. So, Mr. President, you need to know, we do not have any historical ties, defense or economic or linguistic with France. And all this causing the French are doing, the reception they gave Mr. President was fit for a king. He will not get that if he goes to England or the United States or anywhere in the world. What is France getting for that? France wants three things. One, it wants right to concessions to exploit our minerals, which are predominantly in the north, which is what they've been doing in Nigeria, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Number two, they want concessions in oil and gas. Oh, that's why they said, oh, I heard the spokesman of the president saying, oh, Total is going to invest 750 million in gas. And I ask myself, is this true or is this fiction? Because the same Total, 17 months ago, 16 months ago in July, exited Nigeria and sold all its stake at 860 million to a Mauritius-based company and left. Their reasons were sabotage, theft, oil spillage, and high cost of lawsuits. So what has changed in 16 months that they're coming back again? After selling 860 million and left town, they're coming to invest 750 million, we were told. It's not going to happen. So they're looking for three things. They are looking to come and exploit our mineral resources predominantly in the north. They are looking to explore oil and gas, which they ran away from, and they are coming. And number three, most importantly, most worrying, and everybody in Nigeria, I beg you to lend me your ears. We will resist vehemently any attempt by President Bola Tinubu's government to allow any foreign military base on our soil, particularly in the north, because it's going to be a harbinger of trouble. All these Lakura things you're hearing, it is the French that started all of this things. They started all of this things. Wherever France was in West Africa, there's no peace. Why would President Bola Tinubu bring them back without consulting anybody? So, military base, France or America or any country will be resisted vigorously by all of us because this is a country we love and we're not going to allow recolonization of this Nigeria like they've done in the other countries. In Hausa, there is a saying, in kaga gemu dan uwanka ya kama wuta, ka sa naka ruwa. If you see the beard of your neighbor catches fire, put water, dampen water on yours. Well, France has put fire all over the Sahel. And we are inviting them into our household? No, we are not going to do that. Business, do that. And it has to go through due process. And I'm calling on our sleepy, do-nothing 10th Assembly to wake up to its responsibility. They are the ones we elected. They are the ones who should checkmate President Bola Tinubu in all the opaque things he's been doing. He disappears into France for working holiday, and nobody knows what he's going to do there. Like he's being called for consultation. This is a democracy, not a military rule. And we need to know what our government and our president is taking us into. But foreign military base is a no-no. And exploiting our mineral resources behind our back is not going to happen. It's going to be transparent. There's going to be open bid. And all of us stakeholders must be involved in this. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Professor Usman, thank you so much for your submissions this morning. But let's even lean further into the geopolitical implications of this relationship, considering the current rivalry between Western powers and China for influence in the global south. How does Nigeria's embrace of France fit into this dynamic? Could this partnership position Nigeria as a critical player in balancing global power, or is there a risk in alienating other potential allies such as China or Russia?
That is what Nigeria is just going to be used as a pawn. And it's essentially sticking out our neck and giving it to them. And the fight is not between the West and China. No, the fight is between the West and Russia. Look at what just happened in Syria. Look at just what happens in Syria. The rebels took over Aleppo. Look at what's happening in Ukraine. Look at what's happening in Israel. It's going to be a proxy war between NATO and Russia. Because all these French West African countries, they are inviting Russia after kicking America, after kicking China. So it's going to be a proxy war, and we are not going to be part of it. We are going to resist it, especially all of us in the north that are going to bear the full brunt of any recklessness of bringing any foreign foot on our soil. We're not going to accept it. So China is it's not about China. It's about United States, NATO, and Russia. So, Mr. President, President Bola Tinubu, you are elected by us. You must speak to us. You are not going to commit us to any foreign military presence in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And whatever investments you do must be vetted by our sleepy 10th Assembly. They must wake up. But I call on all Nigerians, particularly our elders, our governors, our National Assembly, our traditional rulers and clerics, to look, danger is coming. Our Mr. President Bola Tinubu's romance with France is no good news for Nigeria. Thank you.
All right, Prof. Thanks for your submission so far. Some people might see it as a bit alarming. Others might think that it is largely speculative. But then I'd like to remind you of what Adesua started with, the relationship that Nigeria had with France, particularly after the Civil War, given the fact that, you know, it was the side of Biafra that France was. But of course, the relationship developed in a way, you know, in a positive way after that. So my question to you is that how will you want President Bola Tinubu to embrace France, which, as you know, you were reminded earlier, is our biggest trade partner in the EU, as we are their biggest trade partner, you know, in Africa. Don't forget, sir, that Emmanuel Macron was in Nigeria in 2018, received by former President Buhari in Abuja, and received by former Governor Akinwumi Ambode in Lagos. Beautiful relationship on display. Before then, Olusegun Obasanjo, General, was the president when democracy returned at that time, had Jacques Chirac in Abuja. He went to France too, the same way that Bola Tinubu has gone to France, was also very warmly received, and business relationship developed. Why do you think that it will be a different case with Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as the president, given the fact that not just trade, but core component of the relationship that is being built is the security angle? You made reference to LACRA and the dangers that they portend. If there will be ways in which we can work with France to stem that tide, wouldn't you encourage it?
Right, and that's the scary part, Steve. If France could help any country with security, why didn't he help Mali? Why didn't he help Niger? Why didn't he help Burkina Faso? Why didn't he help Chad? It's been there forever. Their troops have been there forever. You think it didn't help them with all their bases? It's going to help you? Steve, let's wake up. Only Nigeria can help itself by liberating itself from these colonial forces that are doing nothing but stirring trouble in the Sahel. Doing nothing but stirring trouble in the Sahel. So for anybody to think France is coming to help us with security is deluding himself. The biggest problem we will have is this. And this is what President Bola Tinubu, his misfiring of how to handle the situation after the coup in Niger is the one increasing more insecurity coming to Nigeria. Because Niger and Chad and Cameroon, they've been doing a lot of heavy lifting on our behalf, fighting Boko Haram and bandits and ISWAP. Now, you're not going to talk to them, you're fighting them, they lift their feet off the brakes, and these guys roll in. France is not going to help you with that. The only thing that will help you with this LACRA nonsense, this optic we are seeing in LACRA is suspect. I'll tell you. I had the other day, the spokesperson of the defense headquarters in Nigeria saying, in his press briefing, saying LACRAs, they are new, they are related to the coup in Niger. Hello, Mr. Spokesperson, you should know better. This LACRA, as we know today, have been around in this country, a sovereign Nigeria. Non-state actors from Mali or from wherever came to Nigeria. They've been here for 7 years. 7 years, since 2017, at the invitation of local communities to help them fight bandits, to help them do the job that security services could not do. They came under the nose of the federal government, under the nose of the state government, under the nose of all security services, under the nose of all our intelligence services. And now all of a sudden we are doing this. The question to ask Nigerians should be asking is, why did we allow a non-state actor to come into Nigeria, settle, and continue its activities for the past 7 years? And why all of a sudden are we saying, oh, LACRA, just to give a reason for France to come in? That is the only reason. Fellow Nigerians, you can never stop this LACRA, Boko Haram, and all these bandits, all these terrorists, if you don't have good relationship with your neighbors. Not France. Bringing France in is going to make us into a hotbed for terrorism, is going to make us poorer, is going to make us second-class citizens. They will open a base in Katsina State and be digging our gold And I cannot go there as a person from Katsina. We've seen that in Niger. We've seen that in Mali. This is what they have been doing. So fellow Nigerians, we should open our eyes. We in the north will vigorously resist any attempt by President Bola Tinubu's government to allow foreign military bases on our soil. End of story. I don't know how else to say it.
Okay, Professor Usman. Now, Professor Usman, you did say that if we allow France in, that Nigeria can become a hotbed for terrorism. But some people would argue that it already is. That that the northern governors, for example, have not focused on human capital development. That we have extremism in different parts of the country. That the economic situations right now is what makes Nigeria a hotbed for terrorism, and not a possible growing trade relation with France. But also focusing on the geopolitical implications that Shaitan brought into the conversation earlier. We did speak about Russia, and we also have to speak about the Wagner Group, because you spoke about the proxy war going on in Ukraine between Russia and the West. However, some people argue that there is a proxy war going on in Africa between Russia and the West. We have the Wagner Group in Mali, in Niger, in Burkina Faso. They have, of course, rebranded from the Wagner Group, but they are under the Russian military corps. And you also had France in those countries. As of February of this year, we also had Russia being in control of Mali's Ithaca gold mine. So we do have Russian interests in Western Africa in our minds. And so is it not already a situation that our neighbors are dealing with their own proxy wars and extraction of their resources by either Russia or the West? And rather than be in that type of situation, our president is trying to position us as a trade partner and not a partner to be extracted from.
Trade partner. How much is he getting from France? 750 million, they say, investment by Total. For goodness sake, that's paltry sum for a country like Nigeria. The other day they went to Qatar. How much did they say they got? 600 million, and Qatar denied that. The other day Saudi Arabia, they said 800 million. All of these investments, less than $1 billion for a country like Nigeria. This is paltry. Why is Nigeria not attracting the big investment that it is worthy of? A Nigeria that has a very large population, a Nigeria that is very rich, a Nigeria that has a very educated population. Why are we not attracting big investment? So to tell me you went to France and got 750 million, that's an insult. Or Saudi Arabia 800 million, or Qatar 600 million. The president himself, President Bola Tinubu, demarketed Nigeria twice in Doha. Remember when they went, he said there is corruption, and he warned the Qatari delegates, if anybody asks you for a bribe, come and tell me. Hello, Mr. President. Thank you for demarketing your country. And at G20, you heard what you were saying. There is insecurity, there is hunger, there is this, there is this. You are the chief marketing officer of your country, and you are demarketing the country. I will tell you, real countries that want to invest, they invest in DR Congo and all troubled spots. They factor in all these crises, and they even get insurance for all of this to come into place and pillage the country and leave. So, real investment, we want to see real investment that translate into bettering the lives of our people. We haven't seen that so far. All the loans they've been getting, the World Bank loans, the Chinese loan, where are we seeing that? It's not impacted on the people. It's not helped the Naira. It's not brought inflation down. But they're getting loans all over the place. Just a few days ago, they got a loan of 2.2 billion. They got approval from the House, from the Senate, from the National Assembly. It took only 48 hours. For the do-nothing National Assembly to give him approval, go and get loans. For what? For what? He is proposing a bill of 47.9 billion. And the collection agencies that make money, they say they have collected 51 trillion so far. So far. So why are you getting all this money? To do what? He gets all these loans, and the National Assembly does not ask him what are these loans for, and we do not see the benefit. So we must question, especially in a situation where we're worried there is a state capture by the president and his business associates that we do not. You see them signing MOUs in France. On whose behalf? On whose behalf? Definitely not on my behalf, not on my grandmother's behalf. They are not in government. Nobody knows about these guys. You see them signing on behalf of Nigeria. State capture. You have your business associates running this country. Nobody can tell me how much FIRS has collected, or how much customs, or how much this, or how much this. Nobody knows what comes in, what goes out. And the reason is because our National Assembly is complicit, is there in bed with this bad governance. This cannot continue. We must all wake up. Investment from France is not going to solve our problem. Get investment wherever you're going to get investment. But we are very nervous with this love fest between our president and France and his prime minister. It's a harbinger of bad things to come because of France's history around us. And we cannot trust France or any country without security. Doing that will be foolhardy. And you said, yes, there is insecurity in the north. It's going to get much worse with France around. They want to go and fight, let them go and do their own fighting. We will solve our problems here.
Professor Yusuf, Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Let me just move the conversation in a different direction. You've made reference to the 10th National Assembly, and we know about these tax reforms that have passed the second reading. But then we're continuing to see this northern resistance to the reform bills that were proposed by President Bola Tinubu, and it's continued to spark a significant opposition, particularly from northern Nigeria, where we see these economic challenges and a largely informal economy dominate. While some argue that Nigeria needs these reforms to reduce its fiscal deficits, others worry that they could stifle economic activity and growth. Do you have any concerns about this resistance? And how can the government balance this urgent need for revenue generation, which is a problem that we have, with fostering an environment that supports a business expansion and job creation on the back of these tax reforms?
Right. So President Bola Tinubu is essentially bringing the Lagos model to the big stage. What was the Lagos model? Tax, 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 tax. You cannot overtax your citizens to a level that they cannot pay. You've removed subsidy, you've made them poorer. You've floated the naira, you've devalued the currency. People are poorer. Why are you taxing them? What you need to do is to broaden the tax base instead of overtaxing citizens. Number one. Number two, people will say, oh, those that are against this tax bill, they haven't even read the tax bill. Hello. It is not the responsibility of citizens to go and read. It is the responsibility of the executive, the government, that is going to bring any policy to people to come and sensitize and explain to them and get their approval. You cannot just pay hired consultants. They go into their room, bring out an encyclopedia of this is how we want to do the tax, and throw it to the National Assembly and rush it. I tell you, 99% of the members of the Senate, of all the National Assembly members, have not read the bill. Nobody has time to read this bill. So essentially, all this brouhaha you're seeing, I took time to read it because I talk all over the place. Some of it is good, but hello. The biggest problem is that there is loss of trust. Nigerians don't trust this government. The last time you did, Mr. President, you flippantly removed fuel subsidy. You flippantly floated the naira and said tomorrow will be better. Our people are dying. Tomorrow is not better. Yesterday was better than today or tomorrow. People don't trust this government. Number one. Number two. Number two is that this government, in spite of its over-bloated media team of about 13 advisors, they are not connecting with the people. They are not. They think they will stay in Abuja and talk all the big grammar in $1,000 suits and think people will listen to them. They are not connecting with the people. And you could see that in the NSA's speech the other day, the 13th of November, his Tinubu Gain speech. You could clearly see his frustration that the government is not connecting with the people. That was why he was saying, critics, we will shut you up. We want to be shut up with facts, with benefits for our people, not propaganda. So, the government is not connecting with the people. The government has not explained this to the people. Members of the National Assembly do not even understand the bill themselves. And look at the clumsy way it was presented at the Senate the other day. Look at the clumsy way it was presented. Akpabio thinks he's going to be clever by half. Recused himself and put his deputy Senate president, Professor, who is from the north. Oh yeah, fight your people.
Professor, unfortunately, we've run out of time.